Y'all able to hear me? How is the audio? Open up another window. Confirm that we are audible. Everybody, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. We'll be live on the radio in a moment. Hope y'all can hear me well. All right, one moment. We're not live yet. We will be in a moment. All right, we'll be live in 3 minutes. I'm already getting the messages from the control room. All righty, we got the phone lines. Good to go today. But if you don't want to call, send your questions in. We'll dig our hand into the mailbag in the second half of the show. I woke up with a little bit of a cold, sore throat, mucus, not feeling so great. But I'm feeling pumped and thrilled now, thrilled and pumped to be with y'all. Got my Diet Coke, and I dropped my pipe there that I like to have on hand. So we're going to have a great time, audience. We're going to talk about, I don't think I've ever talked about this on the air ever before. I don't think we've ever done a show on Incorruptible Saints. We're going to look into that, and I've done a lot of research. For you all, I dug in very deep into the topic. So we're going to go incredibly deep, very, very deep. We're going to talk about what is incorruptibility. And I already see we've got great questions flowing in. St. Francis Baby Toe, thank you for the support, my friend. And any of you all, thank you all for your tremendous support. We are able to do what we do here because of your support. We wouldn't be able to without it. Thank you for the super chat, brother. And any other questions that come in, as always, we don't miss any of them. We'll answer all of them. I don't know how long we'll go. Depending on how many questions we get, we may go 2 hours, 3. I think yesterday we did an hour and a half. We might do 2, 3. We'll see. Got about a minute and a half, and we'll be live on the air. A topic that I have never spoken about, but dug in deep. Who do we have? Who do we have tuning in? Yeah, allergies, but not just allergies. Kind of, sick as well. And I got a big debate tomorrow, so, man, I hope I get better quickly. Pray for me, faithful. I need your prayers. We're about to dive in. And we got Christology tonight. Remember, that is going to be a ton of fun. An incredible Christology class. I wouldn't miss it even if I was the hospital. I'd be streaming Christology with Father Coppus. Here we go.
Catholic commentary. Spiritual warfare. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Jesus 911.
And we are live. We hope you're doing incredible. We hope you're doing great on a tremendous, and I mean a tremendous Tuesday. How blessed we are to be with you all today. We're very happy to be with all of you all. We're going to be talking about incorruptible saints today. We're going to go in very deep, and we're going to do what we always do. We're going to, as well, dig our hand into the mail bag as well. If any and all of your questions come in, we're going to tackle them on. We are happy to be with you, thrilled and pumped. We're going to talk about incorruptible saints, a topic that you don't really hear a whole lot about. Well, we're going to hear a whole lot about it today. But before we even dive in, I want to tell you all, I am happy to be with you, thrilled to be with you. And this is a topic near and dear to my heart because I learned about it many moons back when I was touring Germany, when I was going through some beautiful ancient churches over there. I learned about this very in depth over there. And I've never dived into the length that we're going to go in today, but we're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to be tuning in. Maybe you're evangelical. Maybe you're a Protestant and you're thinking, well, this is completely foreign to me. I have no clue what you all are talking about. What is that? What is an incorruptible saint? Well, we're going to give you a deep definition. An incorruptible saint is one whose body doesn't have normal decomposition in a way that appears disproportionate to natural cases, especially when there is no embalming that has been performed. Remember, if embalming was performed, then it really isn't incorruptible. No embalming is performed in these cases, and you cannot have a case where the environment plays a role either. Sometimes people don't understand and they think the environment also can play a role and you can still call it an incorruptible saint. No, that wouldn't work. And where the preservation is really linked to holiness, to recognized holiness, forgive me, I've got to be a little bit clearer there. But we're going to also have to distinguish levels of incorruptibility. What do we mean by that? There are different levels according to the Catholic Church. There is a level of full incorruption, where the body remains largely intact. Then there is a level of partial incorruption, where specific body parts are preserved. That could be the heart, that could be the tongue, and that's a very important point that we bring out. And then there is the third category that a lot of people do not know, and that category is the category of temporary incorruption. Temporary incorruption as well. Now, what is temporary incorruption? Well, that is where the body is preserved for a period and then it decays. Now, to be very clear, we want to define things the way the church does. And the church does not say every body preserved is miraculous. And you got to forgive me, audience. I'm battling a little bit of a cold or a flu, I don't know. So forgive me. I hope I sound clear for you. By the grace of the Lord, we will have a phenomenal show. Now, the church does say that some cases rise beyond expectation and are treated as signs, that actually quoting what the Pope actually says here. Now, I am a theological nerd. And if you're tuning in right now, if you're watching on YouTube, or you like tuning into the show, you're likely a theological nerd as well. And if you're a theological nerd, well, then you like to frame things in the realm of metaphysics as well. And phrasing things in the realm of metaphysics, we can then talk about Catholic metaphysics. Now, here is important. Here is the important thing. When we talk about this is important because we believe that one day we will have our bodies, we will bodily rise. The Lord has given us that promise. So when we dive into this, we realize that when we're talking about the holy saints, they didn't just believe correctly, but they used their bodies for holiness. And who did I get that from? The great St. Anthony of Padua brought up how you need to utilize your body for holy purposes. Utilize your body for holiness. How can you utilize your body for holiness? Here's where people can tend to get tripped up. You may be thinking, all right, hold on, William. How on planet Earth can I utilize my body for holiness? A lot of people wonder, well, I'll tell you how you can do it. You can fast. Those that get martyred as well. And you can pray, and pray. And I recommend everybody have a deep prayerful life. Pray the rosary. Be dedicated and devoted to the rosary and to praying. Don't pray. Don't ever think that it's a hassle. And don't forget, if you are able to physically partake of the Holy Eucharist. So when God honors the body after death, the church sees that as fitting, and the great theologians and saints have noted throughout history it is fitting. But we know the topic of incorruptibility really does shock a lot of people to where they don't know. They're confused. They're thinking, well, how do I answer this conundrum as a Catholic? I don't know. Well, we're hoping today to unveil that for you and to really dive in like never before so that every question you've had, we can hopefully answer it in a sufficient manner. That is what we're hoping to do. The Catechism tells you as well that in terms of the resurrection of the flesh, the Catechism teaches you the body will rise, your identity will be preserved, and glory will transform that body. We're told in 1 Corinthians 15, But we're also told in Philippians 3:21, where St. Paul tells you he will transform our body to be like his glorious body. Now, incorrupt saints, we need to be clear about this point, all right? Here's an important point, audience. We need to be clear, brothers and sisters. Pay attention here. Incorrupt saints are not glorified bodies. And the great St. Bernard of Clairvaux mentioned that we will get our glorified body later. Even the great St. Francis of Assisi noted we'll get our glorified bodies later. And I see we already have some phenomenal questions coming in, some amazing ones. And I do want to stop and pray one of them immediately. And I do want to thank the near and dear brother of St. Francis Babytoe, who we're going to read one of his wonderful prayers and musings later on in the show. Today I've chosen to read it towards the end to conclude on a beautiful, beautiful note. We want to pause and pray. Wonderful prayer. Holy Infant Jesus of Prague, please bless William with health and time for his debate, for your splendidly glorious holy face. Amen. Thank you for that, brother. Thank you for your tremendous support and your prayer. The Lord bless you. And I already see some great questions coming in. St. Francis Babytoe has sent in a great one. And we do realize sometimes this can be perplexing. Okay, when will we rise? What does the Catechism tell you? Well, the Catechism tells you what the Bible tells you. The body will rise. And the Lord, according to Philippians 3:21, will transform our lowly body to be like his glorious body, meaning we won't suffer from the flu or from colds in our glorious body. We have a lowly body right now. And that lowly body gets sick, can break down, normally needs rest. I mean, we don't have a glorious body the way we will eventually have by the grace of the Lord. But to hammer home that point, incorrupt saints are not glorified bodies yet. What are they then? What on earth are they then? William, if they're not a glorified body, you got to tell me, what are they? Well, because the soul has departed from the body of that incorruptible saint, and that soul is with Jesus in heaven, very clearly it is not a glorified body yet, because when we have our glorified bodies will be united with our soul, will not be without it. But these incorruptible bodies are without it. But what do they function as? According to the great St. Francis, they function as a visible anticipation of the bodily resurrection. Now, if you know our heavy focus in theology here, you know very well that we're going to also dive in to the early church fathers. You know that we're going to eventually get to the early church fathers. Are there any examples in early church history? We're going to give you a show like never before on the topic, by the grace of the Lord. Now, we even went deep in looking into the Bible, because when you look at the Greek word thora in the Bible, what does it mean according to Greek literature and the Greek text of the Greek Bible? It means decay. It means destruction. It means dissolution. But we encounter something very particular, something very incredible we encounter. We encounter in Acts 2:27, you will not let your Holy One see corruption. Now, we know that our Lord is uniquely free from corruption. We know that. Nobody is arguing otherwise. But we also read in 1 Corinthians 15, this corruptible must put on incorruption. So what does that mean? That means the saints really do participate in the victory of Christ, and incorruptibility can be referred to as a participatory sign of the triumph of Christ. Think about that and wrap your mind around that. Because our faith is fundamentally sacramental. And God is able to work through matter. That is the sacramental logic. God can truly and really does work through matter. So if water can be efficacious for baptism, bread can truly become the body, blood, and soul and divinity of our Lord. It's used. Oil for anointing. Why not a body for an instrument of grace? I'd like to ask, why not a body? If we've got examples of sacramental logic, why not a body? And faithful, we've got a lot more to come for you on the other side of the break. Stick around. We're barely getting started.
Leviticus 11:44 says, "Consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am holy." St. Vincent Pallotti said, "You must be holy."
Alrighty, here we are, faithful. How y'all doing today? Hope you all are having a great one. Hope you all are having a tremendous day. See some great questions coming in, brothers and sisters. How y'all doing today? I'm feeling a little bit better. I gotta say, I'm feeling a little bit better. All right. I do want to, let me see. Who do we have? Let me shout you all out in the audience. Gary 2.0, how we doing? Ari, how you doing, Ari? God bless you. What do you mean the Diet Coke? It's a Diet Coke, man. Yeah, I have that bad luck of getting sick before. There you go, man. You definitely do. You definitely do, man. I have the misfortune of right before an enormous event getting sick. I don't know why. But I'm going to feel better, though. I'm feeling better right now already. I mean, I'm thrilled and pumped for the show, man. It barely got started, man. And I'm thrilled and pumped. These are great. Oh, that's a tremendous question, St. Francis Baby too. And Ari, what a great one, too. You guys are sending in tremendous questions. I can't wait to tackle them. Can't wait to tackle them. And any and all that come in. I don't know how long we're going to go. I got energy right now. Maybe we'll go 2 hours, 3 hours. I don't know. We already got haters. Talking bad about buying. More buying. And we are back on a tremendous Tuesday. Faithful, it is a wonderful day. It is a great day to be here to talk about our wonderful faith. And today we're talking about incorruptible bodies. We've got some tremendous questions flowing in already. We're so happy. Right before we went to the break, we were talking about how the Lord really does work through matter. And you got that all over the Bible. How God does work through matter. He does through water, oil. And then why can't a body be an instrument of grace? If handkerchiefs are, according to Acts 19, handkerchiefs from Paul heal the sick. So the Protestant objection will collapse immediately. If God can use cloth, well, most definitely God can preserve a body. If God can use cloth, well, then most definitely the Lord can preserve a body. And we know that in the early church, relics were universally venerated. In the martyrdom of Polycarp, written in the 100s, the early Catholics are gathering bones. Did you all know the Franciscans had a wonderful devotion of venerating relics? In fact, one of these days, if there's enough requests, we'll do a whole show on the veneration of relics. We'd love to do that as well, if there's enough interest there. In the 100s, are already gathering bones to venerate them. This is a document from the 100s. They're already celebrating martyrdom anniversaries. Now, what does this prove? Now, this proves Powerful, powerful theology. This proves amazing. Now, here is the beauty of this. This relic, this relic theology is not a medieval invention. It is apostolic era Christianity in action. Think about that. And people are going to argue and say, well, hold on. Incorruptibility appears way later. But we're here to debunk that for you and to show you that there are a number of ways that you can answer that. Very important point. Now, why do we not have a ton of early incorrupt claims? Why don't we look in early history and have a ton of them? By the way, I dug in deep for you all, faithful. And I did look in. Well, in early church history, bodies were buried quickly early on. And it was only until later that rediscoveries would happen. So documentation would increase over time. And that would actually, in my opinion, strengthen this argument because they are discovered phenomena, definitely not staged spectacles in any way at all. They are discovered phenomena. Think about that. That is tremendous right there. But there's another example that you all may not know that I love that we've gotten here to talk about it. Saint Cecilia. Have you all heard of her? Her body was rediscovered in 1599. It was intact. It was positioned like one had recently died. And the sculptor recreated the exact posture. That is incredible. That is ancient history. But what does incorruption really signify? Well, it shows you purity of life. It shows purity of life. Now, not all saints are incorrupt, and not all incorrupt are canonized because of it. It is a sign. It is not the cause of sainthood. Later on, we're going to dive into that. We're going to go very deep into that. And here is the other argument people will put forth. Well, hold on. Well, natural preservation exists, they're going to say. Natural preservation. But the Catholic argument is not that all preservation is miraculous. That is not the argument. Rather, the theological position of the church is that some cases exceed natural explanation patterns. Not all of them. The church is very meticulous, all right? Incredibly meticulous. And here are a few key points. We know that there are different climates depending on where in the world you find this phenomenon. And we recognize that embalming can be a reality. We're not talking about embalming. We're not talking about that at all. So we need to eliminate cases where there are clear answers. Now, why do we find in particular such a great devotion to incorruptible saints in the Franciscan tradition, and in particular in their writings? Well, the Franciscans were those that were deeply devoted to the Lord, had a deep Eucharistic love, and had radical poverty. They were those that were truly in love with the Lord, like all that are in the Catholic orders that are in love with the Lord. But the Franciscans were deeply known for sacrificing the body to the Lord. So when God has preserved such bodies, what does it highlight? It highlights sanctity lived through suffering. And that is what that particular tradition had always put forth. That is what that particular tradition had always laid forth. Now, another particular figure that we want to cover is Clare of Assisi. When Clare of Assisi, when her body was put forth, her body showed remarkable preservation for centuries. What does that mean? What does that mean? Not what did that mean? What does that mean? Well, it shows you that St. Clare of Assisi's radical poverty ended up in divine honor from the Lord. And we have this as a wonderful, visible sign where you can clearly see this powerful theology being laid out before our very eyes. Now, another example is Veronica Giuliani. Have you all heard of her? Has anyone heard of Veronica Giuliani? These are a lot of figures. Indeed, we're barely getting started. We have got a lot of names that we want to cover. And if you all, will remind you all, if you all have any questions, are there particular saints that are incorruptible? that you want to hear about or that you have your own thoughts about, we'd love to hear. Now, Veronica Giuliani was known for having the stigmata, was known for her, in particular, her mystical experiences. And she was also known for having an incredibly deep devotion to the Holy Eucharist. And with that in mind, when we stop and we think, this truly is amazing. This truly is amazing. Now, when we unveil what the Bible actually says about corruption, and then we look at these particular figures, there is another thing that we can see that is one of my favorite passages. This is a great one, faithful. Not a lot of people focus on this one. This is a great one. This one is in the letter of St. Paul to the Corinthian church, his second letter, 2 Corinthians 2:15, where it says, we are the aroma of Christ. Whoa, we are the aroma? How many of you all are aware that in early church history, many great saints reportedly emitted beautiful fragrances, floral scents? And when you look at the Franciscan tradition told you why. We were told why. We are the aroma of Christ. We were told why that is the case. So what does that become? When you have an incorruptible body and people report a sweet fragrance, whoa, there's an incredible fragrance that they're reporting here. A floral scent, even people report floral scents as well. Well, we're told that we are the aroma of Christ, and you've got there a physical manifestation of a spiritual reality. They're holy. They are holy. And you find that very often, that pattern in people that are martyrs, people that are virgins, people that are ascetics, people that mortified the flesh before the Lord. What does it mean to mortify the flesh? It doesn't literally mean to beat yourself up. It means that you are suffering in the flesh and you lift up your sufferings to the Lord. Many people suffer daily. Many people do. And they lift up their sufferings to the Lord. They discipline their body completely for God. And then their body becomes a consecrated vessel. Now, later on in the show, we're going to talk about incorruption versus embalming. Don't worry, we got you covered. We're also going to look at many other particular saints. The other day, somebody asked a question about St. Francis of Assisi. God willing, before the show ends, we'll talk about that. A few people have asked, is he incorruptible? Now, that is something I had not even looked into. But I did look into that now. God willing, before we're done with the show, we'll be able to tackle that and we'll be able to go into that, because I did dive into that. And I didn't just dive into google.com. I began reading literature, and I reach out to people that are legitimate, top-notch scholars on the great St. Francis of Assisi. We'll talk about that as well. Who has heard of Clare of Assisi? I wonder if anybody's heard of Clare of Assisi. But we also have to remember, the one point that I have laid out, and I've always laid it out, when we began the show, our argument is not that all preservation is miraculous. That is why the church does a meticulous deep dive. That is why the church is very careful to note that there are cases that can go beyond natural explanation patterns. Now, there are key points we have to lay out. We need to examine and study these cases. And if embalming is an issue, well, then, of course, we don't believe that's an incorruptible. But incorruptibility signifies victory over decay. The Lord has allowed you to have that victory over decay. You lived a pure life, purity of life. You lived a life in purity with the Lord. Union with Christ as well. You are united with Christ. And every incorruptible points to what? What does every incorruptible point towards? The future bodily resurrection. William, why are not all saints incorrupt? Well, not all incorrupt are canonized because of it, but some whose holiness exceeded holiness beyond holiness. Very often you find that the Lord has preserved their body because of that. And the more and more that we dive into these cases, we realize this is ancient. This is not something that is a modern day phenomenon. Our evangelical friends very often get confused about this. They don't get it. They get confused. Now, here's the other question that our Protestant friends ask. Well, are these necessary for faith? No, they're not. But I'll tell you what they are. They are powerful confirmations of our faith. They are powerful signs of holiness. They are powerful reinforcements of the fact that our apostolic doctrine is true and that our faith really is true. And we have that hope of the bodily resurrection to come one day. And we trust in Jesus. We believe that day will come. Faithful. We have many more examples for you when we return from the other side of the break. Man, I'm having a blast, man. That prayer earlier helped, man. I'm feeling good, man. In fact, I'll tell you one thing, St. Francis Baby Toe, where you at, man? I'm feeling so good that when we're done here, I don't know, maybe we'll do an hour and a half. Maybe after we're off the radio, maybe we'll do a whole hour more. I doubt we'll do 3 hours, probably 2 hours, depending how many questions we get in. But after that, I'm going to go pump iron, man. I'm feeling good now, man. Feeling good. I have not taken any medicine. Thank you, brother. Oh, we got the man. We got the myth. We got the legend, Cathal Ryan. We got Max Shank, the legend, St. Francis Baby Toe. And my man, Holliston, who always has to send a heretical message daily. How y'all doing today, man? Hope y'all. Oh, yeah, we got that. Ari, shout out to Ari. Thank you for the super chat. Christology Day with the legendary Father Kappas over there on Patreon tonight. And I'll remind you all, what do we have coming on Patreon? And faithful, if you have not checked us out on Patreon yet, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support doesn't just support me. Your support goes towards Father Kappas as well. We share and we do ministry together, and it helps a magnificent priest. Your support helps a magnificent priest. We've got this coming very soon. A whole theological course on Mariology. That one will probably be via Zoom. I need to get Zoom Pro because we're going to connect via Zoom, and it'll be like a classroom setting to when class ends, people will be able to come up and ask questions and video or audio talk back and forth. But we'll talk about that later. How long we got left? Max Shank, you're a legend, brother. Thank you for the recommendation. Daytime Theraflu. God bless you, brother. I'll go get that today.
And they can connect you to one of 900 pro-life real estate agents around the world. And when they receive their referral fee, they will give 80% of it to a pro-life organization. Wow, that's 80%. Realestateforlife.org, 877-LIFE-US1.
And we are back on a tremendous Tuesday. Happy to be with you all, faithful. We're talking about incorruptible saints. We have many examples, and I promised you all, I told you all this. I said, hey, you all know that I'm the patristic pillars guy. You guys know that if you're going to tune into a show, by now I got you all spoiled. You know you're going to hear stuff for the early fathers. By the way, you know what I'm working on, faithful? A little bit of a, well, not so secret project, but we're working on putting together a massive, in-depth look at the devotion to the Holy Face but tracking it to the early church fathers as well. Now, whenever you hear William, we're going to dive into the early church fathers. Now, when do we begin seeing particular traditions that begin to come about, or remember, when do we begin seeing these amazing, incorruptible bodies? Well, let me give you an early example. St. Cuthbert of Lindisfarne. St. Cuthbert of Lindisfarne, the body of St. Cuthbert was exhumed in 698, 11 years after the death of Cuthbert. And the body was reportedly incorrupt. That is one of the earliest examples we can find in history. That is enormous, because we're right there still in the era of the early church fathers, right towards the end of the era of the church fathers. We know it ends after the Damascene. Some put it a few years later, but we're right there in the era, in what would be called the golden era of patristics. Isn't that incredible? And I did. Yes, you're thinking, well, my goodness, William, you're a theological junkie. I am. If I'm going to put a show together for you all, I'm putting in a lot of reading, a lot of researching, because I want you all to have rock solid information. I want you all that when you tune in the mornings at 11 a.m. Central Time to 12 p.m., you're going to get theological information that'll rock you, that you won't find anywhere else. Or if you do find it anywhere else, you're going to find some new stuff that maybe you haven't heard before. But that is an enormous case. Now, St. Cuthbert is very early evidence. When his tomb was opened, and I've got the documentation. When his tomb was opened, the body was intact. Flesh was preserved. And I even read how they described how the limbs were flexible. Who's that recorded in? Can anyone tell me? Do I have my theological nerds here? Do I have my theological wizards and nerds in the audience that are tuning in? Who is the one that recorded that when the body was discovered, it was intact? The flesh was preserved. The limbs were flexible. Who recorded that? Can anyone tell me? And I'll wait a few seconds, see if anyone can tell me, and then I'll tell you the answer. The answer is this was recorded early on, and it was recorded and confirmed by the great Saint Venerable the Bede. The great Saint Venerable the Bede recorded this, so it's not a medieval fantasy. It is very early on. It is documented and recorded by the great church historian, Saint Bede the Venerable. So we've got evidence of this very early on. We have evidence in the East as well, very often tied into monastic holiness, to asceticism. You find it early on. Now, one particular very early tradition as well, and I didn't tell you that Cuthbert was the earliest, but a very early example, the sacred tradition records that Saint Spiridon of Trimithus was incorruptible. Sacred tradition tells us that this saint, whose dates are in the late 3rd, early 4th century, we're told that tradition says he was incorrupt. Now, I'm going to believe that tradition because he was venerated for a long time in Corfu. That's very early on. We're talking about late 3rd century, early 4th century. That's powerful evidence, incredible evidence. Now, I mentioned earlier, or I briefly did, mention St. Cecilia of Rome, who likely died around early 200s. Her dates are about 180 to about 220, 230 AD. And her body was rediscovered in the late 1500s, right before the 1600s, 1599, and it was reported to be preserved. Now, this is powerful because this is a centuries later rediscovery, and her body was incorrupt. What does this tell us, faithful? Well, it tells us that there's a particular kind of pattern we're discovering here, where the early saints die, they are buried, maybe they get forgotten, maybe they get hidden. Remember early on in church history, remember the names that we're hearing right now. Saint Spiridon, Saint Cecilia. These are people who lived and died well before Christianity had spread, right around the time that it was legalized by Constantine. So a lot of these bodies could have been buried and forgotten about, or even hidden, and then found many centuries later, preserved and incorruptible. Nobody is staging this centuries later. Nobody. Nobody is staging this. Now, I mentioned the great St. Clare of Assisi, whose dates are about 1194 to about 1253. By the way, for me, St. Clare is a very, very unique and a very powerful case. Why do I mention St. Clare as a unique and a powerful case? Well, the body is examined multiple times. Not all bodies of these incorruptibles are examined multiple times. And each time examined was shown to have been preserved for hundreds of years. For hundreds of years. St. Clare, as you know very well, near and dear to my heart, had a very deep devotion to the Holy Eucharist. But St. Clare also had a very deep Marian spirituality, was devoted to our Immaculate Mother Mary, loved Holy Mother Mary with all her heart. So that is a wonderful, wonderful example. I love St. Clare. Now we want to dig our hand into the mailbag because we do not want to miss any questions. We've got an amazing one that came in earlier from the near and dear brother, St. Francis Baby Toe. And if you have any questions, send them into the mailbag. We'll dig our hand and we'll definitely read them aloud and we'll answer them. If William lived a righteous life and he ended up with an incorruptible body, would he automatically be a saint? So here's the answer. It may be an odd one. Incorruptibility alone does not make someone a saint, but it can be a sign. But the church will never make that the only basis for canonization. So according to Catholic tradition, incorruptible bodies are ones that resist the normal decomposition that happens after death. There are many famous examples: Saint Bernadette Soubirous, the incredible Saint John Vianney, Saint Catherine Labouré. But the Catholic Church will say that is an extraordinary sign, but that will not be the only one that will be utilized. A person will still have to undergo the formal process for canonization, meaning, what are the criteria? The person must have lived a life that can be cataloged, a life of faith, faithfulness to the Lord, a life of wonderful charity to the Lord, and moral virtue in a very deep, and usually, as the church says, an extraordinary way. But here's the other thing. Incorruptibility alone will not be the only criteria. That'll be an enormous sign, a very powerful one, but it won't nullify the fact that typically the church will also need 2 miracles. What do we mean by that? After the death of the saint, usually the modern day requirements for canonization usually require 2 miracles after the death of the particular individual. And those will be investigated. And people may be thinking, well, of course the church is going to investigate them. The church is going to pass them and say, yeah, they really were a saint. No, the church is not the only one. It's not the only body that investigates that. It must be done medically and scientifically as well. Now, the final declaration is made by the Pope. For instance, the great, I don't know if he canonized more than any modern saint. Can anyone help me there? I don't remember if Pope St. John Paul II canonized more saints than anyone else. I think he did. I don't know if Francis surpassed that. I'm not sure. But incorruptibility is very powerful. It is a very powerful sign of holiness, and it goes a long way. But the church will still require those other things to fulfill. So that's an important thing to lay out. The Incredible Jesus Talks, Ari, has a great one. Thank you, Ari, for the great question. If incorrupt bodies can happen naturally, and they aren't required for sainthood, then what makes calling them signs of God anything more than confirmation bias? That's a fair pushback. It is. That is a fair pushback. Now, to give her a clear answer, the church does not treat incorruptibility alone as proof. Now, many saints are not incorrupt at all. Some that we believe and know were some of the greatest are not incorrupt at all. And they decomposed in a normal way. Some of them did indeed decompose in a normal way. And many incorrupt bodies are not canonized. I wish they would be, but they haven't been canonized yet. Doesn't mean they're not in heaven, just haven't been canonized yet. Now, to give Ari's answer the due process it deserves, we need to realize the church has noted that natural explanations are possible, and the church has always been open and honest. Are there possibilities of natural causes? Yeah, there are. That is why the church is very meticulous and has got to rule out a natural cause. What are examples, Ari, of natural causes? The soil composition could be one. Maybe in the particular area there was a lack of oxygen. The body was preserved because of that. And then there are cases where embalming has come into play. But then there are many other cases where the church says this cannot be explained naturally. And we're going to tackle a whole lot more on the other side of the break, Faith. We'll be back in just a moment. Now that break snuck up on me. I was about to go in deep. That break snuck up on me, man. All right. How y'all doing? Shout out to all of y'all in the audience. Let me pause and give you all a shout out. Who do we have tuning in? No, that's it's not a cat game fan. It's a statue. How you doing? Repent before too late. How you doing? Yes, I am. Monday through Friday, and on my show in the afternoon or evening. Carlos. Yep, Monday through Friday. Daniel, the man, the myth, the legend. Chewy, how you doing, brother? The hater, B-Mitch. B-Mitch, yes, sir. Pump that iron. Feeling great. Gonna hit arms and shoulders today. I'm gonna do triceps. There you go, man. There you go. I'm gonna hit triceps today. How y'all doing today, faithful? When we return, we'll continue with Ari's question. It's a very good one. And if we get enough questions in, I don't know. I'm feeling better. We'll continue maybe half an hour or an hour. By the way, when we're off the radio, you are not limited to only asking questions about the topic. You can ask anything. When we're off the radio, which we're off in 15 minutes, you are not limited to asking just about the topic. You can ask whatever you want in your mind. How y'all doing, faithful?
Adoration a couple times a week.
Well, we got Gary 2.0 today. I don't think we have Gary 2.0 in the house. Oh, yeah, there he is. He was there earlier. Gary 2.0, how you doing, brother?
Radio.org and do what Daniel's doing. Go out and spread the faith by inviting people to listen to Virgin Most Powerful. Daniel, thanks for your testimony, brother. God love you.
You're welcome.
As long as you tune in, right?
Buying or selling your home? Real Estate for Life underwrites the Terry and Jesse Show, and they can connect you to one of 900 pro-life real estate agents around the world. And when they receive their referral fee, they will give 80% of it to a pro-life organization. Wow, that's 80%. realestateforlife.org, 877-LIFE, US 1.
And we are back on a tremendous Tuesday. I like to call it a wonderful, a tremendous Tuesday, because really any day that you have to live another day of life that the Lord has given you, you should say thank you to the Lord. We're thrilled and we're pumped to be back. We're talking about a great question that came into the mailbag. And if we have any more, we'll tackle them before we are done on the air. But we were talking about the great question Ari asked, where, hold on, what if there is a natural explanation? Well, the church openly admits that there can be natural causes. As I was mentioning, maybe soil composition, maybe embalming comes into play. And if any of those are there, then if incorruptibility in and of itself for that particular individual, if it can be explained naturally, the church is not naive. The church is not going to claim that that's an incorruptible saint. That's very clear. So why ever call it a sign? Because the church looks at everything, looks at all of the cumulative evidence, and really does dive into everything. Not only one particular thing. The church is not only going to look at the way the body looks, that alone. No, the church will look at everything in a cumulative case. That is why. That is why it's so important. The church will not only look at that, the church will say, okay, did that particular saint live a life of holiness? Yes or no? Was there heroic virtue in the life of that individual? And then the church will say, okay, let us look at the body. Is there embalming? Is there is the kind of preservation unnatural? And then there is this other phenomena we mentioned earlier, which not many people are aware of. But at times there's that accompanying phenomena of fragrance, the odor, what we like to call the odor of holiness, the odor of sanctity. Now, as I mentioned earlier, examples of flexibility of limbs means preservation has occurred. There is a lack of decay there then. That is tremendous, audience. That is tremendous. Now, that's a great question from Ari. So the way we look at it is like that. It's not just a natural event. Now, but if it is deemed to be just a natural event, then the church doesn't declare that to be an incorruptible body. Period. And the Bible is very clear on this as well. There are signs that occur. So ultimately, the church sees incorruptibility as what? What will the church see incorruptibility as? Well, it is a sign. If it is real incorruptibility, it's a sign, a wonderful anticipation for the bodily resurrection, and really showing us that there is a confirmation of holiness in that person's life. That is incredible as well. But it doesn't, in and of itself, it isn't the only criteria utilized for determining sainthood of somebody. That's an important point. So really, this is the way we can look at it. We can look at it like this. If somebody said, well, the body didn't decay, therefore the person is automatically a saint, that would be bias, Ari. But that is not the claim being made by the Catholic Church at all. The actual claim is that the person is already recognized as holy. That person is already recognized as holy, and that unusual preservation, that incorruptible body, is a fitting sign to accompany what we already knew to be a very holy life. Look, you're never going to find an incorruptible body of somebody that was rotten. I've done so much research, and you're not going to find a recorded case of an incorruptible body of somebody that lived a less than virtuous life. I've dived in very, very deep. I've looked in very, very deep. There is no such case of one that lived a terrible life, and then you can say, well, their body was exhumed and they were found to be incorruptible. There is no such case. There is none. And I want to give an enormous shout out to our near and dear friend, our brother, St. Francis Babytoe, who says, and I agree, for everyone tuning in on the radio, we agree wholeheartedly. I encourage you all, everyone tuning in. Are you watching on Virgin Most Powerful Radio right now? Are you tuning in on YouTube? Are you tuning in on the app? Are you watching us here, right here on YouTube? I encourage you all to get a devotion to the Holy Face and to the Holy Infant Jesus of Prague. These devotions, I'll tell you right now, can change your life. And not can, they will change your lives. They will, indeed. Now, I've looked into other issues, and unfortunately, I don't think there's enough evidence, and I can be corrected by somebody that may know more, but I've dug in and I've read, and I don't think that we can definitively find evidence of St. Francis of Assisi being incorruptible. not completely incorruptible. I am open to correction on this by maybe somebody that may know more. But from what I've looked at here, his remains have not been preserved as incorrupt, but that doesn't change the fact that he was a fantastic saint. Because even without incorruption, we know he received the stigmata. He lived a wonderful life, devoted to the Lord, a humble devotee to Our Lady as well. He knew that Our Lady would bring you closer to Jesus as well. Now, another figure that we brought up earlier was Veronica Giuliani. The body was examined, it was preserved. We have Saint Bernadette Soubirous, whose body was incorrupt when exhumed. Saint Jean Vianney, whose body was preserved. Saint Catherine Lebray, whose body was incorrupt. Why are modern cases, why are they better documented? Well, it could be the case that we have much more at our fingertips to be able to better document bodies that are exhumed in the modern era after 50 years, 100 or 200, and declare and see that they have remained incorruptible, whereas many bodies may be hidden in the current era. Now, when we look at the catechism tells you that these are signs, not dogma. And nobody's arguing that this is dogma. Nobody's arguing that. The Catholic claim is not all saints are incorrupt. That's not the claim. But the Catholic, and we would argue the apostolic claim, is that God does sometimes give visible signs of holiness through the body. I don't think that is too sensational. And I think that really does fit in wonderfully with our faith, because our faith really is an incarnational faith. Our faith really is a sacramental faith. And our faith really is a physical faith. It is not one that is steeped in Gnosticism. We have no issue with tangible signs. Why do our Protestant friends struggle here? Who can tell me in the audience? Why do our Protestant friends struggle so mightily here? Because for them, the body doesn't play as great a role within Catholicism. And because they do not have the sacraments. For them, grace, sadly, is very often reduced to a legal declaration, a legal imputation. But for a Catholic, in Catholic theology, you've got to be truly holy before entering into heaven, meaning you've got to be fully sanctified. You grow in holiness. We have radically different theological frameworks. One is deeply biblical and patristic, and one was concocted by Martin Luther and the later reformers. So, how do we summarize this? And we hope you've enjoyed. If you've enjoyed the show, give us an indication. Let us know. If you enjoyed it and you want to see more like this, by the way, we're also open to recommendations. What do you want us to research, and what kind of a show do you want us to do? We're also open to recommendation, faithful. Now, to kind of summarize everything in a beautiful manner, we can see that when we look in early church history, we see Saint Spiridon, Saint Cuthbert, and then later we can see more incorruptible bodies being discovered. So you don't have a kind of medieval era invention. You have this as ancient as can be. And we remind you that incorruptible saints are a powerful testament to our faith. They're not the foundation of our faith, but they are, and they can be, and they are a powerful testament of our faith. They are historical, theologically coherent as well. Theologically coherent, and I do believe, spiritually powerful. What do they show us? Well, they show us what 1 Corinthians 3 shows you. The body is important. The body matters. 1 Corinthians 15 shows you as well. You better believe it. The body matters. And we will definitely do that. St. Francis Babytoe would love a show on the Holy Infant Jesus of Prague. We'll do it. We will definitely do it. Great idea. In Catholicism, the body matters. Holiness is real. It is real. And the Bible teaches the bodily resurrection. The early church taught the bodily resurrection, and the later church taught it as well. But here's the incredible thing we want to remind you. As we stop and we look at this, incorruptible saints are wonderful examples. They're people whose body, after death, is found to have resisted the normal decomposition. But we don't call those bodies that may have been embalmed or where there's a natural explanation an incorruptible saint. But do we have and can we point to many incorruptible saints as real examples and real truths? We most definitely can. And today we gave you many examples. And we hope you were edified. We hope you loved it. Because we got a whole lot more to come for you, faithful. The week is barely beginning. Oh, William, don't tell me. I can't wait for the weekend, man. Don't remind me the week is barely beginning. Don't worry. We've got you covered for all your spiritual and theological needs. Faithful, we love you dearly. See you back on the air tomorrow, same time. We love you dearly. God bless you, faithful.
Saint Faustina's Prayer for Priests. O my Jesus, I beg thee on behalf of the whole Church, grant it love and the light of thy Spirit, and give power to the words of priests, so that hardened hearts might be brought to repentance and return to thee, O Lord. Lord, give us holy priests. Thou thyself maintain them in holiness. O divine and great High Priest, may the power of thy mercy accompany them everywhere, and protect them from the devil's traps and snares, which are continually being set for the souls of priests. May the power of thy mercy, O Lord, shatter and bring to naught all that might tarnish the sanctity of priests. For thou canst do all things. Amen. Virgin most powerful, pray for us.
Virgin Most Powerful Radio, sharing the gospel with clarity and charity.
Alrighty. We're not done, though. Don't leave, audience. We're not done. We'll continue for half an hour more or an hour more. I don't know. Depending on how many questions we get, or I didn't know you had your own. No, I don't have my own. I don't. I'm borrowing it from a friend. Hopefully they'll allow me to use it a little bit longer. Pray for conversion. God bless you. Love you, love you, love you, man. How you doing, faithful? I love you, man. I love you all. I tease you guys. I tease you guys and gals. You know I love you all. You know I love you all. I tease you. Pray for conversion. Where did you hear? Where did you hear about Abel's channel? He lends it to me. Where did you hear about Abel's channel? Cool deal, man. Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you for letting me use it, man. You're a hero, brother. Faithful, how y'all doing today? How you all doing? People begin to leave because they think that we're done. We're not done. We're going to continue, faithful. We're not done. We're not done. God bless you all. How y'all doing today? Hope you all are having a wonderful day, man. Oh, what a great one. What a great question. Cathal Ryan, God bless you for the support, my friend. Thank you so much for your support, brother. The Lord bless you, brother. Thank you for your support. The incredible, the amazing Cathal Ryan says, have you seen the incorrupt body of Saint Spiridon and skull of Saint Mary Magdalene in France that has a piece of flesh from her forehead and her hand in Mount Athos? I have not. Now, I have seen Saint Spiridon. That one I have. I brought it up briefly. I mentioned it briefly. Let me look that up. Hold on. Skull of Mary Magdalene. Audience, don't leave. We're not closing. We're not done, faithful. We're going to continue for an hour or an hour and a half more. We're not done. Skull of Mary Magdalene in France. Skull of Mary Magdalene in France. I have seen it. I did not know this was Mary Magdalene. Wow. Hold on. Hold on. Cathal Ryan, you rock. You're a legend, man. Look at that. I had not seen that. Wow. Her hand in Mount Athos. Let me look at that one. Mount Athos. Let me look that one up. Whoa. Saint Mary Magdalene. I got to ask you this, guys and gals, not just Cathal Ryan, everyone. I got to ask you all this. Have any of you all ever seen relics like these? This is tremendous. I'm trying to find a good photo. Wow. Now, here's the other one. Let me show you the audience. I hope you all aren't bored. I hope you all are enjoying this, faithful. By the way, Cathal Ryan, God bless you, brother. Thank you for your support. Audience, I do want to tell you all, we thank you immensely for your support. We would not be here able to do what we're doing, teaching theology, doing these shows. And by doing these shows, I mean after we're off the radio, we continue an hour, sometimes 2 hours more. We thank you for your support, faithful. You all keep the lights on, and you keep us rocking and rolling, and you ensure that we're able to continue to teach the faith. Thank you, faithful. Here is the hand in Mount Athos. Look at that. Whoa. Had you all seen that? I have seen hair. You've seen that one before. It's amazing. Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Yeah. Well, you found my channel. Now you got to subscribe, and you got to check me out, and you got to watch when I go live in the evening too. Because I do shows every day as well. I do Virgin Most Powerful Radio, 11 a.m. Central Time to 12 p.m. noon. And then in the evenings as well on my channel, but not on Virgin Most Powerful Radio. So if you want to hear me, where very often people come up and they debate, and you want to hear Catholic debates, well then check me out in the evening as well. Today we'll be in the we'll be live again today. We'll be live again this evening. Who's this? We'll be live again this evening, and then we've got Christology tonight, guys. That's going to be great. That's tremendous right there, man. You know what? I would love to check that out in person, man. Do you know where that is in France, Cathal Ryan? Well, let me look it up. Do you all know where that is in France? Let me see. Skull of Mary Magdalene, France. Southern France. Okay. By the way, let me pin the link. If anybody does want to come back here, maybe you want to ask a question backstage, or maybe you want to challenge William. We've had a few people that are willing to challenge, although they're not willing to act normal. We have had a few people that are willing to challenge that have come up lately. Hopefully we get some people. Hopefully we get people. Instead, I agree. Great image. There we go. We have it pinned. We got the link pinned, and we're not done, depending on how many questions we get or how many people we get. If we get people back here and if we get enough questions, we'll continue up to an hour more or maybe an hour and a half. I don't know. I'm thrilled and pumped, guys. I'm going to head to the gym after we're done here. Then we'll be live again in the evening. And then we've got Christology with the incredible Father Kappas. Hold on. Let me see. Okay. Alrighty, there we go. Oh, we got people back here already. Alrighty. St. Francis Baby Till, God bless you, brother. Love you, man. Have a good one, brother. All right. For people that are back here, we have a few that are back here. I'll remind you all, if you have any questions, on the right-hand side, what is your faith? What is your question? What is your faith? What is your question? I got to remind you, on the right-hand side where it says private chat, let me know. We'll bring you up. And if you don't want to come up, there's no worries. You don't have to come up, faithful. But not a whole lot of people are talking, so I hope the topic didn't bore the heck out of you all. I hope it didn't bore you all. Hopefully you all weren't totally bored. Shout out to Cathal Ryan, the man, the myth, the legend. Thank you for the support, brother. And Cathal says, did you get a chance to see Saint Anibal Maria de Francia, incorrupt body? He was Luisa Picareta's confessor for over 15 years. She lived after Eucharist for over 50 years. I did. In fact, let me pull that up right now. And you know what? I'm going to talk about that a little bit as well. Because people that are backstage are not talking right now. Let me pull up the image. Let me pull up the image. You know, there were so many. Let me tell you guys one thing, guys and gals. Let me tell y'all one thing. Is the image not online? I'm almost positive. Yes, it is online. I knew it was online. Here it is. Incorrupt Saint. Here it is. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Now I'm saying wow because, man, look, he looks like he's in such peace, right? Cathal, look at that. There we go. Wow. Tremendous. Let's talk a little bit about Saint Anibal. Because we have people back here, but not many people are talking. So if people begin to talk back here, remember, faithful, I don't want to be rude. I love you guys and gals. I love you all dearly. But I really just can't bring you up if you don't tell me your faith and your question. If you all haven't noticed lately, the past few days we've been getting trolls. We've been getting trolls galore. And please forgive me. I'm not trying to be a jerk. But the past few days we've been getting trolls galore. So you need to let me know on the right-hand side, what is your faith and what is your question? And I'll bring you up. We've got 4 people back here, but they're not saying their faith or their question. I can't bring you guys up. In the meantime, any question sent in, we'll tackle. Saint Anibal Maria de Francia, let's talk about the incorrupt body. Now let's talk a little bit about this figure first. By the way, when I was doing research in incorrupt bodies, when I was doing research of an incorrupt bodies, the incredible thing was that I encountered so many of them, so many. And I thought, you know what, man, I'm going to try and condense it to the ones that I like the most. And, because radio goes so fast, guys. Literally, when you're on the radio, it zooms by. I mean, it zooms by. But here you're talking about Saint Anibal, who died in the 1920s, and his remains were later examined decades after he died, decades, and his body is incorrupt. But what does make him very unique, I want to put my image down there. What does make him very unique is this: is that not only is his body incorrupt, but you can see the features of his face. They remain very recognizable. Let me see if I can find another photo. Let me look for another photo. Because the features of his face, let me show you all. Let me show you all his hands too. Evangelicals don't understand how beautiful this is for us. Evangelicals think we're weird. I don't care. I've been told that this is a weird by evangelicals. I don't care. They don't understand. So here it is. Here's a better photo where you can see. Here it is. Let me show you all. Up close to his face and his hands. Let me show you all. There are the hands. And we'll also look at his face. An even better picture. Check it out. There it is. Look at that. Isn't that tremendous? An even better, a better. Now, there's no decay. There's no decay at all. None. Now, let me tell you one other thing. I've heard objections, and I've dug very deep into this case. His body has no embalming. I don't want to hear that claim. And if anybody does try to make that claim, they need evidence. No, his body is not embalmed. And the church does allow, correct me if I'm wrong, I think people that may know, from what I was reading, I don't know if this is correct, but I believe that you can publicly venerate his remains, right? Please correct me if I am wrong, Cathal. But from what I looked up and what I read, you can publicly venerate his remains. Is that correct, faithful? Is that correct? I am almost positive about that. I'm almost positive. But look at that. Let's also zoom in on this. By the way, we're talking about a great. He was known for having such a. This is why I tell you guys, I've never met anybody that tells me that a deep, devoted prayer life is negative in any way. The great Saint Anibal had a phenomenal prayer life. Phenomenal. And he was known as a titan of holiness. I love using that word titan. A pillar of holiness. And yes, he is a saint, of course. He is a silly, very, very holy figure. Never heard anybody that tells me that too much prayer is a bad thing. Let's look at his hands as well. Look at that. Look at that. I'm captivated. Look at that. As if he was just praying the rosary just the other day. How do you explain that? Now, let me be very clear. Without making the claim that there is something nefarious going on, that there are lies being spread and something nefarious is occurring, how on earth do you explain that? How can you? There is no way. Other than arguing that there's something nefarious going on, which, by the way, the church has done her due diligence in examining this particular case. Other than arguing and fighting, well, something nefarious has got to be going on. There is no way to explain this, is there? I want to hear. I'd love to hear if you can point to anything nefarious going on. you go, man. Like a vampire, dude. Like a vampire, man. Like a vampire, dude. Immediately, dude. Put it in the sun, man. Decompose, man. Like I don't want to be mean, man. I'm sorry, man. Daniel, you're gonna get me in trouble, man. With the Lutheran scholars, dude. You're gonna get me in trouble, man. Oh man. I remind you all, for the people that we do have backstage, we have not had a lot of people talking. It has been a show where I hope people have enjoyed it. But we haven't gotten a lot of questions. And we're probably close the doors of the dojo in 15 minutes. I like going longer. I like going, I don't know, an hour longer. Oh, we got the man Cathal here. Cathal, how you doing, brother? How's it going, man?
Hey, William, how are you?
Hey, doing well, brother. How you been, my friend?
Very good.
Great to see you, brother. Great to see you, my friend.
Very good. What was I going to ask you? I know you're after doing a load of research there on the Holy Face devotion, and you'll be coming up in a while, like.
Oh yeah.
But I know. I remember seeing. I just caught a bit of a show you did a while ago, and you were actually talking about early sources.
Yeah.
Of it, and what's his name? Saint. Judas or Saint Jude.
Okay.
You came across a document from him on, I think it's somewhere around the 4th century or something like that he used to carry an image on his chest of the Holy Face or something.
Really?
Yeah, Saint Judas.
Yeah. Let me write that down. Yeah.
I remember you were talking about it or something. You came across.
Did I bring that up? Did I bring that up?
Yeah.
I might have that in my notes then. Okay, I might have that in my notes. Okay.
Because I remember you were trying to say, well, if it's from the 4th century, maybe there's other older documentation.
Okay. No, I think you mean Saint Jerome.
No. It was one of the apostles. Yeah, it was one of the apostles.
Oh, I got to go back and look then. Okay.
Not
I
Saint
believe
Jude.
you. I believe you.
Yeah. I remember you saying it because I looked it up myself. I knew about it myself.
Okay.
But I was trying to. Judas, not Judas that portrayed Jesus.
I know.
Judas.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Because he used to wear it around his neck so he could distinct him, because people said, "Oh, this is Judas, one of Jesus' apostles," and people wouldn't get confused, and that's why he used to have it. And I was just wondering, did you come across any other people? Because I know a few people wrote about Judas. I think maybe Saint Ambrose wrote about him. I'm not too sure. I could be getting a small mixed up about people. I think Saint Jerome wrote some stuff about him as well, but I don't know if they mentioned anything.
You're right, Jerome. In fact, what I'm waiting on, the only thing I'm waiting on, and I plan to put a show together on this devotion, is I'm waiting for confirmation, because I was told that there was another quote in another early church father early on, and I love talking about the church fathers. As soon as I get that quote, and that quote is going to come from an expert on the shroud. Hopefully, I'll get that quote by this week. Then I will put that together, and I'm excited for that. Do you have a devotion to the Holy Face?
Yeah. I actually have a good few of the books here.
You do?
Look,
I love that, man.
That's the devotion to the Holy Face there. Actually, I sent you on a message yesterday that this is the book that the priest wrote, and he was the spiritual confessor of the American nun. Her body was found incorrupt.
Yeah, that's incredible.
However, I have the other books here on the Golden Arrow.
Oh wow!
Here's the Golden Arrow.
Yeah.
Your sound has gone off there, William.
Can you hear me there?
No, your sound is still gone. Is that me or you?
It's oh man. Hold on. Oh man. Man, what talking about a StreamYard bug, man, because I removed myself. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Okay.
that's on my end, man. What a freaking StreamYard, man. Man, oh man. Just wait for the brother to come back. You able to hear me there?
Oh yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, because I removed myself to show your thing, and you're on your phone, right?
Oh yeah.
It's a bug with StreamYard. Yeah, it's a bug.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I love the Holy Faith. Oh wow.
And I think that's her there. Saint,
Yeah.
Margaret. Oh no, sorry, that's Saint Margaret Mary. Sorry, that's another book.
Different one?
Oh, the Saint Margaret Mary is, I think, to do with the Sacred Heart.
Okay.
There's the Golden Hour. There's another book on the Golden Hour. Saint Margaret Mary was
Saint Margaret Mary. I thought Saint Margaret Mary had a devotion.
She had the devotion. No, I don't know. Maybe she did, but she had
Sacred Heart. Yeah,
the Sacred Heart. Actually, I'll tell you a funny story. When I first came across that, my mom came up and said it to me, like, and I got the book. I never heard of her before, and it was funny enough when the book actually came. A load of other books came from Saint what's his name? Francis de Sales. At the same time, but she was a part of the order of Saint Francis de Sales.
Wow!
And Saint Francis de Sales actually appeared to her, and I thought the coincidence of the timing was extraordinary because the book came at the exact same time as all the books that. Yeah.
Wow!
He appeared to her. Yeah.
Wow!
And what else was I going to say to you there? Oh yeah, because Saint Jude. Or say, I'm not really too sure how to pronounce his name properly. Saint Judas, maybe, I suppose. But when I was looking up stuff across that, I seen what's her name? Here, I have her over here. Saint Bridget of Sweden.
Oh wow!
Jesus actually appeared to her and told her to have a devotion to Saint Judas. And what's his name? Saint Bernard. Jesus did the same thing to Saint Bernard as well. And I didn't know was there stuff in. Yeah, Jesus appeared to him and said, "Take a devotion to Saint Jude." And I didn't know was there something in there either with the Holy Face either, or is it just a devotion to him? Jesus told him to do so. Just interesting little things, tidbits that I came across there.
No, and I've been studying Saint Bernard. I didn't know that. That's pretty tremendous.
Yeah, well, I didn't go too deep into it. I just came across it when I was, appearances of Jesus that appeared to people and said to take a devotion to him. Like, I don't know how much depth is in it or whatever. The thing about the internet, you're not really too sure about what you're reading sometimes unless you start going deep into it. Like,
Sure, and that's what I'm trying to do with the devotion to the Holy Face. I'm trying to find as early evidence as possible. I think that Eusebius quote is a knockout one. That's a great one, a really good one, showing that there are people making images showing that devotion is it's not isolated. That it was prevalent early on. So I think that's a pretty powerful piece of evidence.
Well, what I seen as well when I looked at the people who do it for a living, the devotion, they'll use a lot of the Old Testament because in the Old Testament there's devotions in the Old Testament to the Holy Face.
Oh yeah,
everything is about the Holy Face in it. Like, so a lot of people say it's completely biblical. Like, the devotion to the Holy Face.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah,
and Jesus as well saying, as you've seen my face, you've seen the Father's face and stuff like that. And it's
devotion
should be incredible.
Even greater. It should be even greater after the incarnation. Should be even greater after the incarnation. And we can see it. We can see that that it does explode after the incarnation. So yeah, I mean, I think that everybody should have a devotion to the Holy Face. It's incredible.
Yeah. It's very funny how sometimes devotions, they're very strong at the start and then they kind of fade away and then they kind of come back. Like I found that actually with Saint Faustina, like, like Saint Faustina's, but before her, I got her book down here. Oh no!
Uh-oh.
Here,
Saint Gertrude.
Saint. Saint Gertrude had the same devotion. And if you read actually Saint Gertrude's prayer, is pretty much the exact same as Saint Faustina's. Only she puts in the Eucharist. The prayer is pretty much the exact same.
Okay.
It's pretty much the exact same. Like if you actually read it up, it's when you're reading it, it's pretty much the exact same.
That I didn't know.
And I found it. Actually, she had a devotion as well to the sacred wounds.
Yeah.
Of Jesus, the 7 sacred wounds. I'll see if I have actually, and that kind of disappeared, kind of as well. And here's another one that I like this devotion as well. The precious blood of Jesus.
Oh, you got it. Took the words out of my mouth. I was about to
start. Oh, you were just thinking that.
I was just about to. Yeah, but you're right about that. Devotions tend to, they will disappear for a little bit, and then they
come back.
Yeah, great traction. I mean, that's what we should see today in today's day and age. More and more people should recognize the power of these devotions. They're incredible.
Yeah. And usually it's always something supernatural behind it as well that it comes back up. And, and a lot of these people that bring back up these devotions, it kind of comes out of nowhere. It's very interesting stuff.
It's great stuff. It's incredible.
Well, what was I actually had a question for you that I was thinking of. Sure. I was researching, like I like looking at things like Saint, like mystics and stuff like that. I just showed you there, Saint, what's her name? Saint Bridget of Sweden. She was like a mystic, and she had mystical visions of Jesus' life, like her stuff, and like there's other mystics as well. But all of them kind of said the same thing, actually, because we were bringing up Mary Magdalene, right?
Yeah.
It was Mary Magdalene, Mary, and Mary, Lazarus's sister, were actually the same person. in all the writings of all the different kind of mystics and stuff like that, like. And I researched it up, and like some very old saints, like Saint Gregory the Great, and I think Saint Ambrose and a few other saints, they kind of taught the same way thing as well. Like, that there was 3 Marys in the Bible, and they were all the same. That's what they taught. But I don't know, like how strong this sort of teaching was in the old church. Or is it just some saints? Right.
No, you're definitely right. It has powerful testimony in Pope Saint Gregory the Great. I don't remember if it was more than one homily of his, but I do know that he definitely does believe them to be the same. Now, for Pope Gregory the Great, there are clearly people before him. I'm not certain who, but the way that he lays it out seems to be the prevailing theory at his time. And I know that he merges in the Gospel of St. Luke, the woman that is anointing Jesus. You know where I'm getting. The Gospel of John. So he'll merge them together, and he will say that it is one particular woman.
That's Lazarus' sister.
Yes, that's correct. It is. You're definitely right. So he's not the only one. There are Eastern fathers that do so as well. I'm trying to remember if it was Gregory of Nyssa or Gregory of Nazianzus. I'd have to go back and look at that. I'm not exactly certain. But I mean, that's a powerful testimony, the fact that we have a pope doing it, because that at least, that shows you that it was, not just him. If he's relaying this in his homily at that particular time, well, then people before him clearly believed it as well. He doesn't just concoct it out of the blue.
Well, it wasn't just him either. I can't remember them off the top of my head now, because it was a couple of weeks ago when I looked it up. But there is a good few church fathers from around that era and before that era that taught the exact same thing. It was like a well-known sort of thing, but it kind of fell off, especially with the rise of kind of Protestantism or whatever kind of everybody kind of banded all this stuff because, listen, if it's not in the Bible, we just might as well just go, oh, this is a certain thing that the church had or whatever. But the evidence from the church seems very strong or whatever.
It's definitely there. And you also find it in so after him. Now I know Protestants will complain and say, well, it's after Pope St. Gregory, but you find it in the Venerable Bede and Saint Venerable the Bede. So the important thing about Saint Venerable the Bede is he's aware of traditions before him. So he would be aware that others believe that before him. And in my opinion, just because we've got it very clearly in Pope St. Gregory doesn't mean that there are no others before him, because Bede the Venerable does repeat that. He believes that as well. Now then, after him, of course, there are many medieval fathers that do that. But before Bede, we know that Pope Gregory, without a doubt, I'm not sure about the Eastern. In the East, I'd have to go and look. But that doesn't really matter. We know that Gregory shows you it's in the Magisterium. And he very clearly does believe it, and Bede echoes that, and Bede would have been aware of both East and West traditions. So I think it's a pretty good case that can be made for it.
Yeah, was it the skull as well of Saint Mary Magdalene? I came across that a while ago when I was researching some of the stuff. But just about maybe 20 miles from where that church is, they actually have there's an area there. I can probably look it up and send it on to you, where seemingly when she came over with Lazarus over to France and a few other people, they built it was like a monastery up in a forest up into off like a mountainside. And actually all kings of France for hundreds and hundreds of years or thousands of years, they always used to come there for like a spiritual retreat or whatever. But it's in the same area as where her skull is or whatever.
I didn't know that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to
see
it?
No, I only came up with it a while ago because I was researching stuff on Maria Valtorta or whatever, because I'm going to up in Knock. We're having on the 16th. We're having the first Maria Valtorta conference up there. We have a lot of speakers coming up in Knock, so they're going to go through all the scientific work and research that was done on Maria Valtorta's work. I'm looking very forward to that.
You got to get photos, brother. You got to get photos.
Oh well, I love Knock anyway. Knock is a fantastic place. Even just if you go up to Knock even for a day, it's a very special place.
Beautiful.
So.
Is it beautiful? It is.
Anyway. Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Knock is an amazing place. Any apparition place, there's always something very something very special with them. I'll actually, since we're talking about Knock, I'll share you a funny story, Richard. All right? The first time I ever went to Knock was a few years ago. I'd say maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I never went to Knock in my life. And one day I was at home in my house and I got up and I said, I have to go to Knock. And I don't know why. I said, I have to go. And I didn't understand why. It was just something driving me to go to Knock. All right. And I got up early and I went to my mom's house and I said it to my mom. And I said, it's very strange, but I have to go. And I couldn't understand it. And she said, you know why? And I said, no. And is there anything special about today? And I said, I don't know, but I have to go. Anyway, I went that day, went and I did my few things and I came back. And I was talking to my mum then the next day or whatever, and she said, well, anything weird happened, and she was expecting something strange to happen. And I was like, no, but I was saying it was very unusual, that sort of drive that came across me. And she said, you realise what day yesterday was when you were up to Knock? And I said, no. She said, yesterday was your father's birthday, and your father every year on his birthday used to go up to Knock. And I never knew it was my father's birthday. He was dead, he's dead a good few years.
Yeah.
And I never ever in my life ever heard anyone saying, "Oh, it's your dad's birthday and he's going up to Knock." I never even knew he went up to Knock on his birthday. My mother said he goes up to Knock every year on his birthday. I was like, but that was so strange.
That's awesome, brother. That's incredible, man.
Yeah. There you go. Anyway, there's my little stories.
I love it, brother. Thank you for coming up, man. Don't ever be
no
be a stranger, brother. Love talking to you, brother.
Yeah. Well, keep up the good research anyway, William. There's always something good and new to learn in that.
Keep an eye out for the Holy Face show coming soon, brother. Keep an eye out.
Oh yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing what you came up with. I'm sure there's a lot of information there through the years.
A lot of it. You're gonna love it, brother. And we'll be in touch, brother. You take care.
God bless, William.
God bless, brother. Have a great one. You take care, my friend. Great talking to Cathal Ryan, man. Always great talking to all of you all, man. What a great time we're having, man. It's been a lot of fun, man. I'm glad to know people enjoyed this. Glad to know, man. I am glad to know. This is great. Okay, hold on. What do we have? What do we have? We had more people back here. They dropped off when we were talking to Cathal Ryan. But even though they dropped off, nobody was saying anything, and almost as if people here, and I don't know what to say. Okay, hold on. Perfect. 14th. Okay. Confirming. Alrighty. Oh, you got me here. This I have not heard of. Okay. Daniel with a zinger. And William could be dishonest and William could lie. Let me see. Dietrich von Furstenberg, the Prince Bishop of Paderborn. How do you explain his incorruptibility? Hold on, let me look it up. Let me look him up. Dietrich. By the way, brother, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the support. We were going to close the doors of the dojo, but we got another question, so we'll continue going. In fact, we'll go upwards to 2 hours if we get more questions. Dietrich von Furstenberg, or longer. Prince Bishop. Let me look him up. I can't find any evidence that he was incorrupt. Are you sure? I am looking and Googling. Now, I want to remind you all, merely looking and Googling doesn't always prove everything. But why would, I guess I'm misunderstanding. Why would it be bad if he was incorruptible? Didn't he die in holiness? But he died in holiness, though. So why would it be bad if he is incorruptible? Trying to find. Okay, so there's evidence he was incorruptible. But he died in holiness. I guess I would have to find evidence. But you know what? I will dive into that. Oh, man. Forgive me, audience. I'm sneezing. You don't need to be a saint, but where's the evidence that he didn't die in holiness, though? Yeah, I mean, where is the evidence that he didn't die in holiness? As far as I am aware, he did die in holiness from what I'm seeing here. But of course, I need to dive in deeper. Daniel is always, but yeah, Daniel's great. So I'm going to take a photo of that so I can come back with a better answer. Daniel, I don't feel like I've given you a sufficient answer. So I'm going to dive in deeper for you. Because I have a policy here. If you all are supporting ministry And you all are the reason we're able to do what we're doing. And if I don't feel like I've given you a good enough answer, well, then what William will do is William will go and dive in really deep, and come back with a solid one. So I owe you an answer tonight, Daniel. When we return live tonight, I will have a solid answer. No, it's not sufficient. My answer's got to be better. And I'll give you a better one tonight, without a doubt. Promise you. I'll do deeper digging. We'll do deeper digging. We'll do deeper digging. All right, faithful. Do we have anyone else back here or any other questions? If we have anyone else or any other questions, we'll continue for 18 minutes, and then we'll close the doors. If we don't, we'll wrap it up and we'll be back tonight. All right, we've got our debate set for the 14th of this month on the perpetual virginity of Mother Mary. And tomorrow we're debating on Pints with Aquinas, the bodily assumption. The dates are set already now. We've got our perpetual virginity debate set. Okay, good. Okay. I still want to go deeper, brother. I still want to, brother. God bless you, my friend. I still want to. So we'll see. We'll wait. We'll wait a few minutes. We'll wait. And if we don't hear anything, if we don't get another question, we'll close the doors to the dojo. Maybe tonight we'll devote. Maybe tonight we'll debut the evidence of the Holy Face devotion in the early church. And then maybe we'll do a whole radio show on it another time. I don't know. But I want to go live today earlier to give you all enough time to ask your questions, to come up in dialogue in the evening when I know where more people are active. I guess we'll go live around 6:30, 6:40, and we'll then go all the way to 9, and then we'll segue into Christology. That work for you all? Let us do that then. We'll do that and close the doors to the dojo now. We'll creak them closed, faithful. All right, faithful. God bless you all. We hope you had a great time. What is William going to do? I am going to go, as I always do after the show ends, I go pray, and then we're going to head over to the gym, and we're going to pump iron. Thrilled and pumped, faithful. Love you all dearly. God bless all of you all. See you all in just a few more minutes.